Good evening, everybody. There we go. Excellent. Perfect. Current time is 7:27 p.m. here on January 22nd. We are going to be live in just a few minutes here to talk about the upcoming winter storm that is bracing to impact the state of Indiana and surrounding areas. Before we dive in, though, let me know where you're watching from, and also be sure to hit the like button on the stream as well. It helps get the algorithm in our favor, and it pushes the stream out to other people who may not be aware of what's incoming. Good evening, Brown. Happy almost snow day, says Search. We are going to wait just a few minutes here. It's 7:28, so we're about a minute and a half early than what we usually are here. So we're going to give it about a minute or so before we start diving deep into the nitty-gritty details here. Brown says, Martinsville. Jordan is watching from Fort Wayne. Crown Point. My birthday weekend is always awful weather. It's kind of funny how that works out. John says Bedford. Other John says St. John, Indiana. Corey says hello, boss. Kim is in Jasper County. Hannah is in Bloomington, I believe I saw. Chat's going fast here. All right. We are going to dive in another 30 seconds or so. It is 7:29 here in a couple seconds after the hour. So we're going to dive into all of the nitty-gritty details, snow amounts, forecasts, etc., etc. I know there's a lot of excitement about this system. Rebecca says Terre Haute, Susie from Anderson, Amber's from Bloomington, Kokomo, Terre Haute, Winnemac, Noblesville. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and start and get this underway here. So if you are living under a rock, we have a snowstorm coming, and quite a big one at that. But aside from the headlines of heavy snow, we have several days worth of cold air to talk about here. And that's going to be a first topic to touch on, just like I did last night on the stream. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Temperatures are going to drop off like a rock tonight into Friday morning. Actual air temperatures by the time we wake up tomorrow morning are below zero for almost the entire upper Great Lakes region. Northern Indiana included. Our wind chill is even lower than this. So waking up, it's going to be below zero for Gary, Rensselaer, all the way down toward Lafayette areas. But the wind chill as well is a big story. If we move this into 9 a.m. tomorrow, almost the entire state of Indiana is below zero. All the way down to the Ohio River, we have negative wind chills. If you're really far north and west in the state here, you are close to negative 30 Friday morning. So tomorrow morning. Quite cold tonight, guys. Bundle up out there. This is not going anywhere. We are going to be seeing 5 to 7 days of below zero wind chills out there. And that is dangerous by itself. So drip your pipes if you are prone to pipe bursts. Also, make sure you're covering exposed skin. Limit time outdoors. Typical winter precautions with the cold air incoming. All right. Now on to the big story. We have a snowstorm incoming for Saturday, Sunday, and perhaps to start Monday as well. Models updated today, overnight as well. No major changes. We do have an official forecast out as well for you guys. But the overall forecast has not changed. Starting tomorrow evening, our system will take shape off to the west of us across the Oklahoma-Texas region. And this starts to move our way as we move into Saturday morning. Here is 7 a.m. Saturday. Here is 10 a.m. Here is 1 p.m. And just as I said last night in the briefing, around that noon time frame, we should start to see our first snowflakes in the state. It could be a little bit before that, could be a bit after that, but give or take right around noon till 1 p.m. or so, it did trend just a tad bit later on today's guidance. 4 p.m., snow begins to fall across a wide area of the state, but do take note, if you're up there by the Fort Wayne or by Richmond areas, you guys are yet to get snow, so a little bit later on further east, so perhaps dinner time for those of you living close to the Ohio or perhaps Michigan borders. 7 p.m., though, the heavier snow begins to move in. And by the time we get to overnight Saturday into Sunday morning, those darker blues indicate moderate to heavy snowfall rates. They begin to push into the state at several hours, all night long, Saturday night into Sunday morning, of heavy snow across pretty much the entire state of Indiana. The further south you go, closer to the Kentucky border, that's where the really heavy snow is forecasted to be. But also take note, the icing and sleet zone is sitting just off to our south. Right now, it's about 2 counties south of the Indiana border, so it's super close, but still holding off to our south. So no major icing concerns. In fact, no icing concerns at all with this system right now. But any further shifts to the north may increase our concern for that just a bit. But for right now, not concerned for that. As I move this throughout the day Sunday, this snowstorm is a slow mover. It continues into Sunday morning, into the afternoon hours. We're into Sunday night now. This should start to wrap up by very late Sunday, if not then, a little bit later on, early Monday morning for the latest. Do take note, though, after the system moves through, lake effect snow for the South Bend Elkhart region continues. All right, zoomed in look here. We'll run through this a little bit quicker. Zoomed in look. Here comes Saturday morning. Here's 1 p.m., 4 p.m., 7 p.m. The entire state is engulfed in snow by Saturday evening, around 7 p.m. or so. This continues. Heavier snow moves in late into Sunday morning, continues all throughout the night on Sunday into Sunday afternoon before exiting here Sunday evening, leaving us with drier conditions to start our Monday, except, again, lake effect snow up further north. So overall, time frame expected to start on the west side of the state about noon on Saturday, and it clears the state by about, we're going to say about midnight or so Sunday night into Monday morning. That's your general rough time frame. The big question, how much snow are we going to get? The big question here, everybody's comparing forecasts, everybody's looking at several different data points. Let's talk models here. The European model, as I said last night, the European typically is the most trusted model when it comes to winter weather. So, with that being said, we use it here very often, and this is no exception. So, as I move this into tomorrow, lake effect snow up by the South Bend area could be accumulating upwards of 2 to 5, perhaps 5 inches for you guys up in that Elkhart South Bend region. Don't ignore that if you guys are up there. Snow is going to pummel you guys starting tomorrow afternoon. But our system to watch for the entire state comes in Saturday. So as I move this closer and closer, snow begins to pile up here Saturday afternoon. By the time we get to Sunday evening, snow is accumulating. We have 2 to 4 inches already by Sunday at 1 a.m. here. And then the heavier snow arrives, and all of a sudden we start getting these really heavy snow swaths here. By the time we get to Sunday evening, when the snow starts to taper off, we have a wide area in the state of around 8 to 12 inches of snow from about Kokomo all the way down to the Kentucky border. So the entire state really is in on the snow. If you're north of there, you're going to get lake effect, which should bring you up close to the 8 to 12 zone, honestly, between these Friday and Saturday and Sunday events. But if you're over by the Gary area, for example, you guys are in kind of like a snow hole almost. You're still going to get inches of snow. 4 to 6 inches is nothing to sneeze at. But still, the heavier remains south, and especially south of the Indianapolis area. Taking a peek at the 24-hour snowfall. So this does not account for all the lake effect that comes in. This is just pure snowfall from the system. Here's your amounts. And we actually kind of mirrored this very closely with our forecast internally because we are trusting the European. It's locked in. It's not shifting too much. It's locked in. So our forecast is very, very close to what you're seeing on your screen here. If you're down south from the Kentucky border all the way up to the Indianapolis, perhaps Richmond, Muncie area, you are going to be in a zone of 8 to 14 inches of snow. That's that pink zone. I'll go ahead and circle it for reference here. If you are in this circled area, it is 8 to 14 inches of snow. That is what we expect to happen. Now, if you live in this general area just north of this bubble I made, you guys are more so looking at 5 to 10 inches. 10 is the highest point, 5 is the lowest point. We could see about 7 to 8 inches there as a solid middle point. Now, if you are very far north upwards toward the Michigan border or perhaps the Illinois border towards Chicago, you guys are having the least amount of snow with the system. Still a good chunk, 3 to 6 inches is what we expect that to happen, but also consider lake effect for South Bend Elkhart areas. We could kind of pile on for some of you guys up there to get still 8 to 12, perhaps 8 to 14 inches between both of these systems. So overall, that is our forecast for it. I will actually pull it up here if I can very quickly. I did not prepare myself for this, but it takes me 2 seconds to pull it in. So give me 1 second. Gotta go to the page here and grab that graphic for those who didn't see. We have a pretty straightforward forecast posted on our page if you want to go see it. In the meantime, I'll overlay it here on the screen. Give me 1 second. There it is. It's gigantic. Let's go ahead and shrink that here. There we go. There is our forecast here at IWN. Like I just said, from about Terre Haute, Indianapolis, up almost to Muncie, more so Richmond areas, that is our 8 to 14 zone. Places like New Albany, Evansville, Corydon, Vincennes, Bloomington, Versailles, and Terre Haute areas. Now, if you are north in that Terre Haute to Muncie line, 5 to 10 inches, still a good chunk of snow there. And then further north, now, this is an uncertain zone here. This is just for the system Saturday into Monday morning. 3 to 6 inches is the expectation. If this continues to trend this way, I have to probably up that to more so 4 to 8 inches. But also for the South Bend Elkhart region, we could see like effect on top of this that could bring you guys up to that 8 to 14 zone. So overall, this is our first thoughts. We have a full night ahead of us and a full day tomorrow before the system arrives Saturday morning. We have a lot of data left to go through. Things are going to shift, or should I say things could shift minorly in nature, but no major shifts are going to be possible. We're not going to see the 8 to 14 zone shift up to Rensselaer and South Bend. We're not going to see the 5 to 10 zone shift all the way south to the Kentucky border. We're not going to see those gigantic major shifts anymore, but a county or two is possible. Okay, so don't be shocked if we wake up tomorrow and we put a forecast out that has 8 to 14 all the way up to Muncie now. Or opposite of that, we could shift it down to Bloomington. It's possible. This reflects latest data and our current thoughts. All right, with that said, other models to watch. We have the American, we call it the GFS model. The GFS model is disgustingly south still. It did adjust north to meet the European, but it's not north enough. So the GFS American model here coats the south half of the state in snow, but the north half is like maybe 2 to 6 inches at most. So a very far south solution here. I see a comment here from Megan, GFS is trash. I agree. The GFS for winter systems is usually trash. We still look at it just to get an idea, but overall, not a very big solution for the system. The Canadian model, it was really far north yesterday. It still kind of is on that northward shift, but it aligns well with the European. It coats the entire state with snow and the sleet to freezing rain lines just sitting off to our south here. Overall, it puts a nice swath with the European model somewhere between that 6 to 12 inch range or so when all is said and done into Monday morning. So European and Canadian are kind of aligned, and that is what our forecast is kind of reflecting, more so the European, but the Canadian is in line with it. So we went ahead and basically put a best blended forecast between the two. All right. Winter storm watches and winter storm warnings are in effect, as well as cold weather advisories. I don't have an alert map, unfortunately. However, I can post one later tonight on the pages. But overall, winter storm watches go up. Basically, I'll pull it up on behind the scenes here, actually. Winter storm watches are up to Fort Wayne, Rochester, Lafayette areas and point southward. So right now, they don't include Angola, South Bend, or Gary. And then winter storm warnings are already in effect for the Evansville, Jasper, and Corydon areas. That is for the incoming system. And then for the other side of this, the cold weather, we have cold weather advisories north of I-70 and also down by the Evansville area. We have those in effect for wind chills that could reach below 0 tonight into tomorrow morning, about 20 or so below for the north half of the state. And for that south half, we could see as low as -5 to -10. So bundle up tonight into tomorrow. Those wind chills will continue several days, though. So it's going to be a long duration cold. All right, with that said, that is the overall picture of the forecast, guys. That's all I have to share. I will turn over to the comment section now for comments and questions. This is going to be a light snow. Temperatures are going to be 10 degrees or so throughout Saturday into Sunday. Light and fluffy is the type of snow here. Ratios are about 18 to 1 for those of you who speak meteorological. So it's going to be kind of light, fluffy, and blowing. CIS, we are live on 3 platforms. You're on YouTube. We have about 30 of you guys on YouTube watching right now. We have 516 watching on Facebook and about 300 watching on X. So we have 3 platforms. You guys aren't going to see all the comments rolling in like I can. Wind with this system is not going to be that intense. We could see some minor blowing and drifting, but overall, Sunday afternoon, wind gusts between 20 and 25 miles per hour are possible. That will drift some, but not major drifts. Okay? Not a huge deal, but enough to kind of warrant attention, especially on rural country roads. Be most impacted there. Those wind directions with that will be pretty much from from north to south. Right now, I do not expect sleet or freezing rain in the state of Indiana. It should be a pure snow solution. If anybody gets that mix of sleet and freezing rain, right now I have to say the very far south counties by the Kentucky border. Those have the best chance of getting some freezing rain, some sleet with it. Our forecast, once again, I'll throw it up on the screen there. So a lot of questions. I see questions for South Indiana like Seymour. I see Mitchell. I see Vincennes. You guys are in 8 to 14 zones. North Central Indiana, from Fort Wayne to Muncie, Lafayette, Terre Haute areas, we're going 5 to 10 for you guys. And then up further north for South Bend, Gary, Rensselaer areas, and north of Fort Wayne, like Angola, 3 to 6 inches. But it's deceiving because tomorrow, Friday, for South Bend area, we could see additional 2 to 6 inches of snow with lake effect kicking up. So a storm total between tomorrow and the weekend system for you guys in localized areas up there could still top 8 to 12 inches or more. How are the roads going to be Monday morning? That's a great question. I did hear word from sources that NDOT is planning on full staffing all weekend. So hopefully state roads will be nice and passable by Monday morning. But of course, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you exactly. This is a lot of snow here. Plow crews will have a hard time keeping up. Hopefully Monday morning, we'll be out in full force and clearing the state roads so we can travel to and from work and school if need be. Jeremy, yes, I would expect there to be warnings to move north. I expect there to be additional watches and advisories issued tomorrow or perhaps late tonight. Will they deliver pizza during this event? I mean, that's going to depend on your local pizza shop there. Any chance of a jog north with the storm? Adam, yes, minor shifting is possible. What I mean by minor, I mean 1 or 2 counties either way. This could shift a county or 2 north or south. Either way. Right now, though, let's go ahead and look at the last model runs. I like to do this, actually. Let's go back to this morning's, overnight, and then last night's runs can kind of compare. So this is the latest afternoon run of the European. Let's go back to the morning run. This is what it looked like in the morning. Not much change there. Let's go back to overnight model. Not much change. Let's go back to last night's run. Not much change there. Back to yesterday, 24 hours ago, yesterday's run. A little bit more of a change there. But overall, we are seeing this system quite stable on the models here to really kind of increase our confidence to get this forecasted and accurate for you guys. So that is why we have a forecast up on the page. Snow begins around noon, Saturday afternoon, for the western half of the state. A little bit later on for very far northern, like Fort Wayne area, and all the way down to the Cincinnati area. On the east side of the state, you guys, a little bit later on, maybe dinner time for you guys on Saturday. Kelly says, already have school closed tomorrow, but I got to work all weekend. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of schools are closing due to the wind chills. Snow's not expected until the weekend, unless you're up there in the lake effect zone in northwest Indiana. Otherwise, yeah, schools are closing for this cold weather tomorrow. I would not be shocked to see widespread delays or closings on Monday with this system. Columbus is in our 8 to 14 zone. I don't know why. There's a lot of talk about this system being like a blizzard of 78. This is not going to be a blizzard. Winds could blow light snow around, yes, but we are not going to see levels of the blizzard of 78. That is no comparison to this system. Let's just not even go there. Good question there by somebody in chat asking if totals could shift higher or lower based on confidence. The answer is yes, especially that north half, the 3 to 6 zone. With latest models, we may need to up that to 4 to 8, perhaps 4 to 9. We may adjust totals up 1 inch for all zones. We'll have to kind of evaluate that with tomorrow's data. So expect there to be another forecast out sometime tomorrow after the 2 p.m. time frame like today was. That would be a time frame to watch here for anything changing. Otherwise, I don't expect that many changes. I think this is a pretty solid forecast unless something drastic happens. Not unheard of with weather. I mean, it is weather. Things are unpredictable. But overall, this is a pretty locked-in forecast. I don't expect there to be any major shifts or changes with this forecast. Everything that is changed should be pretty minor in nature in terms of shifting or adding or taking a degree. Wow. Adding or taking an inch from totals. I heard there's another system coming up next week. Truthfully, when you have these big systems in the pipeline of these models, sometimes data can get really inaccurate. So I'm not going to focus on a week out until we get through this system first. Could we see another system? Sure, possible. But there's no sense to focus on it because it's going to shift and change dramatically. I'm not going to touch it until we get past this system. Wind speeds gust-wise will be 20 to 25 miles per hour throughout Sunday. No, Robin, it's going to be a light and fluffy snow. Paul says, good luck if you want the Blizzard of 78 experience. It was a heck of one. I wasn't alive, but I know people who lived through it. I've talked to them, and yes, it was. This is not going to be a comparison. This is going to be dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Impacts are going to be major to travel with this system, but it's not going to be on par with the Blizzard 78. There's just no comparison. Will roads be okay Saturday afternoon? Likely not. They'll deteriorate starting around that afternoon time frame. Later you get, the worse they're going to get. I do not like the forecast. I would like to request a better forecast, preferably something in the mid-70s, lots of sun. You're about 5 months too short or too soon there, Jackie. Power outages are not going to be a huge concern with the winds being 20, 25 mile per hour gusting wise. We're not too concerned for major outages. We could see isolated outages, sure, but we're not seeing anything major in terms of outages. Paul says he was 3 in 78. I would be negative 20. Sunday, snow will continue. I'll go ahead and go time frame again for you guys just tuning in. I'll go ahead and walk you guys through the overall synopsis of the system. So overall, tonight into Friday, tomorrow, lake effect snow will pile up for areas further north from perhaps Angola back towards South Bend, Elkhart regions back toward Michigan City. We could see 2 to 6 inches, perhaps a bit more in some spots tomorrow. So take note of that. Aside from that, we're dry everywhere else in the state tomorrow. So no big deal there. We're cold, but we're dry. Now, Saturday around noon or so is when we start looking for the system to move in. So with this, 1 p.m., here's 4 p.m., snow begins to move into the state. 7 p.m., it's almost covered the entire state. Up by Angola is still dry. By 10 p.m., though, the entire state is shown to be in snow. Heavier snow begins to ramp up there for central and south Indiana overnight into Sunday morning. We wake up Sunday, and almost the entire state is within the heavier snow bands. Here's 10 a.m. Sunday morning, 1 p.m., 4 p.m., 7 p.m. Heavier snow moves out late Sunday, and by the time we get to Monday around midnight / early morning Monday, we are seeing snow completely out of the state. Maybe lake effects still ongoing up there by the South Bend region, but overall the system is out of the state for Monday morning, so plow crews should be able to treat these roads. Take note, though, one thing I want to mention here, there's cold air behind the system. So plow crews will probably only be able to plow. Salting is going to be more ineffective because temperatures are quite cold. When we dip below 15 degrees, the salt will still work, but not as effectively. So roads will likely be pretty bad even into Monday and perhaps even longer than that, just because we are in this cold pattern repetitively for several days after the system moves through. So expect there to be road conditions that are pretty bad all throughout the next first half of the week, we'll say. Can I show our forecast once again? I can. It's on the screen there. There you go. East to west roads will be the ones that will drift if any drifting occurs. The winds are more north to south oriented, so it'll be east-west roads that will be most impacted by drifting. Yeah, Noblesville's in the 5 to 10 zone. It's close to the cutoff, though. We could see a bit higher amounts if you are lucky, especially if you're close to a cutoff zone. We could see, perhaps a little bit higher totals, maybe lower totals if you're on the pink side of that cutoff line, but we'll see. These are best guesses based on data we have. If it's an inch or two off, it's not a huge deal, meteorologically speaking. This is just our best guess. When we talk about snow down to your backyard, it's very difficult to really get pinpointed and really accurate with it. So it's more so a generalized idea. Some places could get 14 inches. Other places could get 7 inches or maybe 5 inches instead of 8 to 14. That's the nature of weather. But the broad majority, 80% or more of people within these zones should fall between these ranges. I would say no, Kevin. I would not advise traveling. Of course, we are not official sources for travel. We can make forecasts based off weather data. And what we know, ice is slick. We know snow is slick. We know a lot of it's coming. So it's pretty easy to kind of correlate that it's not going to be a good travel day. So we can give you an idea. But if you're going to ask how's traveling from this place to that place, we can't really advise you legally to do that. So you make your best decision based on what you feel is right. All I'm going to say, I would not be traveling personally. And that would be anywhere from Saturday afternoon to Monday morning. I would not be going anywhere. I am far behind on comments here, so give me a second to catch back up. There we go. I am not expecting there to be widespread outages in terms of power outages. All right, do me a favor, guys. We're going to wrap this up here soon. Before you hop off, though, please like the stream. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, as well as X. We are posting to all platforms as well now, so feel free to follow along your platform of choice. Personally, I like YouTube a lot better to watch streams on. It's more so a good experience, in my opinion, but you guys are welcome to choose what you guys want to do. But would appreciate for a like on the stream, on Facebook especially. It helps the algorithm out. Otherwise, I'll be live for, let's see, about at least 2 more minutes here. Nice half-hour stream would be nice. Any more questions, feel free to drop them in chat here. I got a lot of you guys asking questions. I can't get to them all, but I'm trying to get to the ones that catch my eye here. So it will be light and fluffy, yes. Glenn, light and fluffy is the nature, so no back-breaking, heavy, wet snow to deal with. Could be a lot of snow, yes, but not going to be heavy wet. No problem, Shannon. You bet. Do you think we'll get more than 3 to 6 in Kendallville? It's a possibility, Mandy. Latest trends here do indicate Kendallville could end up on the higher end of that. We may need up totals up there. I'd say pay attention to future forecasts. We'll have another update about 2 p.m. or so, 2 to 3 p.m. Tomorrow afternoon. So I'd just stay tuned for that. If you follow anybody else, stay tuned to their forecast as well. We're going to have different opinions and interpretations of data. So you're going to see differing opinions and forecasts from different agencies. So I'd say pick 2 or 3 you like and stick with them. One more look at our forecast. It's also posted with an extensive write-up on the page today, back about 3 p.m. Would encourage you guys to go check that out. But otherwise, North Indiana, for right now, not including lake effect tomorrow, is in 3 to 6 zone. That may need to go higher. 5 to 10 from Fort Wayne down to about Lafayette, down to about Terre Haute, Indianapolis, and Richmond areas. And then if you're south of those areas, 8 to 14 is our first call. First call means it's our first forecast, not our last forecast. So subject to change. That yellow text up there is important. Forecast is subject to change. as new data is available. So this could shift. It could tweak just slightly. No major shifting or tweaks, but it may just deviate very slightly, maybe an inch or two either way in any of these categories, and perhaps a shift north or south of a county or two either direction. It all depends on how data wobbles. All right. Nick says, going to do a drinking game for any time someone brings up 78. I've seen a lot of it. I've also seen a lot of talk about exploding trees this weekend. That's not going to happen either. So I could just do a 5-minute live stream and say, this is not going to be the 78 blizzard, and it's not going to have exploding trees. Have a good night, guys. If you do have any reports this weekend of backups on highways, snowfall measurements, any pictures or videos of your kids or your pets playing, feel free to send that to us. We love seeing it into our inbox. We also have groups on Facebook you guys can post in. Indiana weather, Indiana storm reports, all available for you guys to hop on and make your own posts. It's there for you guys. We want to see everybody's having fun out there, but staying safe as well. So feel free to use those avenues to report weather to us. Is this snow map or temps? Look at the very top bar there. What does that say? I also did not know temperatures could be measured in inches. 5 to 10 is what we're saying for Lafayette, Cameron. This is going to be a very dry snow, Cameron, to be honest with you. Based off the ratios that I know, and if it all melts at once, we're not going to equal 1 inch unless we top like 18 inches of snow in some spots. Maybe. But the ratio of liquid equivalent to 1 inch of rain is going to be like 18 to 1 right now with this system. So we're going to be probably between a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain equivalent with this system. All right, we are going to wrap it up. So couple last summary bullet points here. Yes, shifts and minor tweaks to the forecast on your screen are possible. I mean minor, I'm talking 1 to 2 inches either direction for any zone. We could up or down it. And as far as those corridors, the pink, blue, and light blue corridors, we could see a shift north or south by a county, perhaps 2 counties at most. That is what I mean by minor. So if you are in Indianapolis and all of a sudden we shift you into 8 to 14, not a huge deal there. If you're in Muncie, same thing applies to you. Not a huge deal to see a shift by a county and a half north. Those are normal wobbles with systems of this nature. Otherwise, that is what I expect to happen. Start time on the system Saturday around noon for west half of Indiana. Dinner time Saturday evening for the east half. This continues all night into Sunday morning, all day Sunday, ending late Sunday night or early Monday morning, depending where you're at the state. All said and done, a whopping 8 to 14 inches of snow is the forecast for south of Indianapolis. And then north Indianapolis, 5 to 10 inches is a good guess for a lot of you guys. I personally, based on data we saw after the forecast was posted, I'm leaning toward upping that 3 to 6 zone, perhaps more 4 to 8 at least. We'll talk about that tomorrow based on new trends. We don't jump and make new forecasts every little change. We usually back off and wait to see how it all works itself out. So pay attention tomorrow for our next snowfall forecast around 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. With that being said, I'm going to hop out of here. Before I do, I'm going to go shout out to today's sponsor. We have Rutgers Outdoor Services. They're based in Marion County, Indianapolis area. For any tree service needs, Rutgers is there for you guys. Number is 317-665-3969. Thank you to Rutgers for being today's sponsor here at Indiana Weather Network. With that said, guys, you enjoy your evening. I'm going to hop out of here and enjoy mine. Stay safe, stay warm out there. It is going to get cold and stay cold for several days. I am Ryan with Indiana Weather Network signing off. Enjoy your Thursday evening, guys.